How hard is it really to make the right moves? This looks fairly simple, but let's break it down even more. Let's deconstruct it. We could all make that lower move, the lower body move, and then the arms just simply do this. Anyone can do it. You just have to know what to look for. Then the trick is putting it all together. It's not hard. Look at the upper arms. The right arm. See how the angle is kept? See how the shoulder is dropping and the elbow comes down towards the hip? Well, let's look at it from another view. Do you see the hip line? Do you see the elbow coming into that right hip? It's almost as if there's a wall on the hip line, and we just come down that wall. It's more like an axing motion. You can see it more clearly from this perspective. It's not hard. The hands aren't moving, the arms aren't moving. You're maintaining the 90-degree angles of the shaft of the forearm. And then when your hands are over your right leg, that's when you release. What I found was that this is one of the most important moves in golf. The hip angles and everything else and shoulder angles aren't as important as this motion. The elbow to the right hip. I can superimpose this same model on myself, and you'll notice major differences. My hips are square when I hit a ball. My shoulders are square. So how come I can hit just as straight and far as this model, who's a PGA Tour winner? Well, it's because I realized what matters. And what matters is that arm movement to the hip line, the elbow to the hip line. Here I've shown you the joints alignments. And my arm joints are exactly the same as the model. My motion patterns in my arms are identical. The elbows, the shoulder. It allows me to get my hands up forward as bended here. And we're not as twisting. That's the major difference. There's no reason to have the hips and the shoulders in the X factor. All that does is cause injury and pain. So you can simplify the motion and hit just as well. At our age, we're not as flexible. We aren't capable of making those moves. But if you do the arm motion that are critical and important, you can get results like this. If I do the hip plane, you'll notice that my shoulders match the hip plane. I'm not fighting against it. My arm pattern's the same, but I'm less twisty. My hip plane, for the most part, matches my shoulder plane, except at impact there's a slight tilt. It's been biomechanically proven by orthopedic surgeons to cause less injury. So learn what matters. Learn to simplify. Use the arms correctly. Learn what matters and what doesn't. It doesn't help to mimic a model that's incorrect in its assumptions. Planes and such can be different, and yet you can still achieve great results. And without the contortions that for us are just unrealistic and unnecessary. So learn what matters and stop being Joe Average on the left. Learn to use your arms and shoulder the most efficient way. Learn what matters. Learn what I've shown you in this video, and you'll get better. You'll end up with hand pass that literally get results. Simply learn to use your arm the way I showed you, maintaining the 90 degrees of the shaft to the forearm. Move the elbow to the right hip and release only when you're over your right leg with your hands. Axe down move, rock the baby, they're all the same thing. So once again, understand what matters. So make Ben proud and simplify.